Hello and welcome. It's amazing how some stories can travel for thousands of years, their wisdom just waiting for us, hidden inside only a few characters. And today, we're going to dive into one of those stories, an ancient lesson about luck, effort, and, well, human nature, all packed into a simple four-character phrase, Zhu Pang.
And here they are. These four characters you see make up what's known as a Chengyu, or Chengyu. It's a Chinese idiom. And each one is almost like a tiny poem, isn't it? It carries this whole world of meaning. And you can bet that behind these beautiful symbols, there's always a story.
So, to really get the story, we first need to appreciate the sounds and symbols themselves. Right. Let's break it down one character at a time. Okay, so this first character is pronounced shou. It gives you the sense of to guard or to watch over something. The next one is zhu, and this one's pretty straightforward. It just means a tree stump. What's left behind when a tree is cut down.
Then we have our third character, Dai. This one has a feeling of waiting, of awaiting something that you expect to come.
And finally, the last character, Du. That's a rabbit. So if we put all those pieces together literally, we get something like guard stump, wait rabbit. It doesn't quite make sense yet, does it?
No, not really. But in plain English, what this idiom really gets at is this idea of relying on pure chance. It's all about waiting around for a lucky break to happen again, instead of, putting in the actual work that makes things happen.
That raises the question, right? Why these specific images? Why a stump? And why on earth a rabbit? Well, the answer, as it so often is in the story.
All right, so let's travel back in time a bit. This story actually comes from a really old philosophical text called the Han Feizi. We're talking over 2,000 years ago in China.
So, our story starts with a farmer in the ancient state of Song. He was just a simple, hardworking guy. Every single day, he'd be out there tending his field. And right in the middle of that field stood this lone tree stump. So one afternoon, while he's out there working, this rabbit just darts across the field in a total panic. It was going so fast, it didn't even see the stump, and bam! It crashes headfirst into it and dies right there on the spot. And just like that, the farmer has dinner. I mean, talk about a pure stroke of luck.
Well, the farmer was just ecstatic, and then he gets this idea. He starts thinking, why am I working so hard out here in the sun when I could just wait for rabbits to basically deliver themselves to me? So that's what he does. He puts down his tools, plops himself down by the stump, and he just starts to wait.
But this is exactly where the farmer's good luck runs out, and it's where the real lesson of the story begins. Because, of course, his decision to just wait, it had consequences.
Days went by and he just waited. Then weeks passed. And all the while, he's just sitting there, watching that stump. His field, which used to be so well kept, it just gets completely overgrown with weeds. And, as you can probably guess, no other rabbit ever came close to that stump. Before long, his land was useless, his livelihood was totally gone, and the farmer himself, well, he became the laughingstock of the entire state of Song, a real cautionary tale.
You see, the farmer's huge mistake was that he confused a simple stroke of luck, a totally random one-time event, with a reliable way of life. He took one fluke accident and thought it was a repeatable process, and in doing so, he gave up the consistent work that had always supported him. And even though this story feels so ancient, the farmer's mistake is, well, it's deeply human. It's just as relevant today as it was back then. We all have our own stumps, don't we? And our own rabbits that we're hoping will just show up.
Yeah, when you boil it down, the story is really a warning against just sitting back and doing nothing. It cautions us not to mistake a single lucky break for a real strategy. And it's also a critique of being inflexible, right? Of clinging to one past success instead of adapting to what's needed right now.
So you might even hear this pop up in a modern conversation. For example, someone might say something like, "My colleague isn't really looking for a new job. He's just kind of waiting for a recruiter to find him." It really feels a bit like Shǒu Zhū Dài Tù. See? It just perfectly captures that feeling of waiting for luck to strike instead of actually taking action.
Learn Chinese, one story at a time.